Warning, this video contains explicit material not suitable for children.
Kim Kardashian is a disgusting human being because she will never ever call out Joe Francis. Let's talk about it.
I see him hanging out with people like the Kardashians, and this is coming from a Kylie Jenner enthusiast. It's actually very gross because it's like, you know, Kim is very like public, justice, whatever, but you were hanging out with a person that like had multiple essay allegations.
No connection to anybody on the inside, and really just felt like for me, I'm at the place in my life that I wanted to make a difference and just wanted to do the right thing, but I didn't know how or what to do or even really what was going on.
And didn't pay his taxes and referred to women as bitches and whores. His wife, who's like 20 years younger than him, went into hiding because he abused her so bad. Hiding, like nobody knows where she is currently.
Joe Francis is a prominent figure in the world of entertainment and celebrity culture. For those that don't know, he's the founder of Girls Gone Wild, the popular adult entertainment franchise. Joe Francis made a name for himself by showcasing the wild behaviors of women that are intoxicated or inebriated. He started Girls Gone Wild in 1997, where he came up with this idea, a series of videos featuring young women engaging in wild antics during spring break. Now, that franchise became a massive success, generating millions of dollars in revenue, making Joe Francis a wealthy individual. His legal troubles began in 2003 when he was arrested on charges of filming underage girls for Girls Gone Wild. And there have been so many stories out there about what he's done with underage girls.
He says what happened when she was 14 years old on a supervised spring break trip in Florida still haunts her.
They didn't have big, like, equipment with them or Girls Gone Wild t-shirts.
Boyd, who grew up in Marietta, was with her friends when the men asked her to flash them.
And they said they give you something, right?
Beads.
And at 14, that sounded like a
good idea.
Next changed Boyd's life forever. The men sold her picture to Girls Gone Wild, and not only did Boyd appear on the video cover, she also appeared on national television commercials.
Now, you know who's been very supportive of Girls Gone Wild? That would be the Kardashians.
What do you think about Joe?
I feel like I love Joe, and his situation's unfortunate, and he should be free. That's why I'm wearing a free Joe shirt. I'm a Joe supporter.
Keeping up with the Kardashians. I mean, look at Chris supporting the mess.
Hello?
Chris, hey, it's Joe Francis.
Joe Francis! Where are you, honey?
I'm in jail.
Sometimes people have a negative connotation about Girls Gone Wild.
Now, in 2013, Joe Francis filed for bankruptcy after facing a series of lawsuits and legal battles that drained his finances. He then decided to build this mansion, this luxurious mansion in Punta Mita, Mexico, which was frequently visited by celebrities and high-profile guests. Now, throughout Joe Francis's career, he's had numerous legal battles, including allegations of tax evasions, assaults, and defamations. In 2011, Joe Francis was sentenced to 270 days in jail for assaulting and false imprisonment of 3 women at his mansion. But the celebrity connections with Joe Francis are very, very much deep. From NSYNC to DIDDY to Kim Kardashian, Lindsay Lohan, Tara Reid, Paris Hilton. Some of these people made appearances on Girls Gone Wild or attended his parties. So between making appearances on Keeping Up with the Kardashians when they were doing this Girls Gone Wild bikini photo shoot. Actually, one of the episodes in the very first season was based on this whole thing.
So and Bruce Charlie's Angels. Guys, we have to break out Charlie from jail. It's our duty.
And Bruce Jenner at the time was so concerned about Girls Gone Wild. I mean, he had to go over there and be the dad of the year, making sure that he was protecting his daughters, of course, doing this thing. One thing we have to know is that Joe Francis has had multiple restraining orders filed against him by former acquaintances or business managers.
This is a declaration of Ray Francis. This is a restraining order. I'm 71 years old and the father of Joe Francis. I am fearful that unless he's stopped, Joe may harm my family. He has proven that when he's angry, he will not hesitate to physically harm his mother and sister and me. A noteworthy example of Joe's explosive and violent behavior occurred at Thanksgiving. He ended up coming after his mother, Christine, and me with a coat rack. At one point, he had his youngest sister in a chokehold. The fact that Joe Francis got angry and violent against his parents, I'm guessing he's been doing for more than 40 years, Maria Francis, his mom, has asked the court enter an order to stop domestic violence that will protect herself and her husband from being contacted by their son. And it was granted.
In 2004, Joe Francis was banned from Panama City Beach, Florida, following allegations of filming underage girls without consent. Now,
I'm 100% innocent of anything that I just pled to. Everything that I pled to, I pled, like the judge said, to get out of jail. Chose to finally plead to a felony just to get out of jail. That was the only reason I pled here to something I did not do. I have never committed a crime.
I think is particularly upset is that because of the type of charges and the ruling by the court that it was a strict liability, that he didn't have to have the intent to commit a crime, as I think what really has caused his anguish here, because he always thought that the young ladies involved were over 18. They said they were over 18. They signed forms saying they were over 18, and they were on videotape saying they were over 18, but they were only 17. And because of the way the law in Florida is written, the court ruled that it makes no difference that they lied and you believe them, you're still guilty of a crime. And I think that's why he's entered into this plea agreement. It is unfortunate, but that's the way the law is written. And
I did not want to plead to a felony, but at the end of the day, no one's going to believe that two 17-year-old girls lie about their age. I'm not even present. They show fake ID, falsify release forms, and I'm somehow a child abuser. It's ridiculous. It's absurd, and no one will believe it. And so who cares? 11 months in jail is a long time, man, and it's you know, it was enough. But the fact that they were able to squeeze me, and like the judge even admitted, Mr. Francis, are you taking your plea today because you want to be out of jail? Yes, Your Honor. That's the only reason why I took the plea, was to get out of jail. I've done nothing wrong. Well, what am I going to sit and fight these people for another year and a corrupt Steve Meadows, a corrupt prosecutor? It wasn't worth it.
He pleaded no contest to 1 count of felony child abuse and 2 counts of misdemeanor prostitution. He had no contest to 2 additional child abuse counts on behalf of his company, Mantra Films, Girls Gone Wild. Francis also pleaded guilty in a 2000 case of him having sleeping pills and cash in his cell at Bay County Jail. The judge at that time had sentenced him to 339 days in prison, time he already had served in Florida and Nevada. The judge had ordered Francis to pay more than $60,000 in fines, court costs, restitution to the county. Francis agreed that his company would not conduct any filming in several Florida counties in the next 3 years.
Now, some people have said, well, you know, he's in Mexico right now. Why haven't they extradited him? Because they're not going to extradite him on a misdemeanor charge. There won't be any extradition of that. But that's why he lives in Mexico, to avoid some of the things that are happening here in the U.S. I mean, in 2007, Joe Francis even spent time in jail in Mexico following allegations of bribery, engaging in illicit activities. Now, here's one thing to know is that Joe Francis has ruined a lot of lives, and it's amazing to me, and not surprised at all, that the likes of the Kardashians would continue to support him. They go and they visit his resort in Mexico by the name of Casa Aramara. I mean, that's where they shot the Girls Gone Wild, Keeping Up with the Kardashians edition.
The last couple of years, in the last 4 years, Kim Kardashian has been trying to rebrand herself to be this justice reformation, criminal reformation, prison reform type of person. She's at a law school or whatever lawyer JD degree that she has, right?
Has just changed the national narrative on criminal justice reform.
Known globally for her reality TV show, fashion brands, and social media game, Kim Kardashian's influence goes far beyond her Instagram page. Human rights attorney Jessica Jackson, Kardashian's attorney mentor, says the reality star turned aspiring attorney is now using her global platform to open the dialogue about prison reform.
She's incredible. I mean, just such a powerhouse.
Totally great. And I think it's awesome. But Kim Kardashian should really look into the victims that Joe Francis has left behind. Because at one point, before she had children, she was all for Joe Francis. She was wearing the Free Joe Francis.
What do you think about Joe?
I feel like I love Joe, and his situation's unfortunate. And he should be free. That's why I'm wearing a free Joe shirt. I'm a Joe supporter.
She visited the Joe Francis house in 2021. Why don't you help the victims that this man left behind?
There are still pictures of Kim K going to visit the resort. So she's very much in support of it. And, you know, she actually never posted some of these pictures, but the resort actually tagged her on IG to show that she had been there. In my opinion, I think Joe Francis has lifted himself up through these celebrities, but some of these celebrities don't really speak on Joe Francis. Like, it's been a while since I've heard Kim K or any of the Kardashians really speak on Joe Francis and say, yeah, he's a great friend, or he's a great guy, or, you know, something to that effect. I just find that to be interesting. Now, Joe Francis played a very pivotal role in the release of this Kim Kardashian and Ray J sex tape, if you guys remember. I mean, even as of recent, Caitlyn Jenner disclosed a lot more about Kim Kardashian being very calculated about her fame and wanting to be famous. Back in 2023, Caitlyn Jenner claimed in a docuseries that the family was doing that Kim Kardashian calculated fame from early on. It was Joe Francis who basically suggested that Kim release this sex tape with Ray J. It was to create controversy. This is what Joe Francis said.
The sex tape was a means to an end. It was to create a controversy.
So while initially Kim Kardashian attempted to sue Vivid Entertainment, the company that released the tape, Joe Francis, Ray J, Kim Kardashian, and various other people played a part in making sure that everybody got their cut. Some would say that it's a way in which you take a hold of a narrative. But it also seems to me very convenient in the sense that they then ran to like Oprah or other media source outlets that basically allow them to run this narrative that Kim Kardashian was very shocked when this was released. It was very embarrassing. Oh my.
I felt humiliated. I felt like...
You know there are people who say that you put it out yourself. You know that.
Yeah. And, you know, I think why would anyone put that humiliation on their family like that?
Because what were you worried about most, yourself or your family?
My family.
Clearly, not only was that the way in which they controlled the narrative of there's Kim Kardashian who this happened to her, and she's been trying to rebrand herself since the release of this tape, right?
Back in that time frame when they were trying to get in control of that narrative, Ray J's mom was struggling, and you could tell and see that through this clip.
You don't do, regardless of how much you love someone. And so it somehow surfaced. But my point is, and Ray J hates to hear me say this, but I'm gonna say it. With all of the hoopla about it being Ray J and people trying to blame him, did you see him on the cover of Playgirl?
No, she got her jump off from it.
Even now, Ray J has since spoken out about this sex tape, right? I mean, just the consequences of it and how he, in the narrative, in the long run, he was the one that was really seen as the bad guy in this whole sex tape.
Games with me, you know what I'm saying? And what's crazy is that, hit me with the light. What's crazy is that, like, I'm supposed to be on vacation. I'm in the Dominican Republic. And I'm looking at somebody mama lying and just really just laughing at like, you're gonna try to crush my career, make me look stupid when you know you was the mastermind, and then go out to dinner later and eat with your rich friends, huh? It's just like, well, we over again. We always pray over. He's our little like scapegoat when we want to just feel like we like special and somebody hurt us. Like, stop, like, you got me up. I start to think to myself, all right, if you already believe what these people are saying about me is true, then what do I gotta lose? Then to tell my truth and tell you what it really is, like, and I'm not telling you, I'm telling this, so when my kids grow up, they know the truth.
But just imagine the women either put into Girls Gone Wild that became victims of that franchise who did not have a choice, who didn't necessarily have money or an attorney to fight someone like Joe Francis, and the backing that Joe Francis has had over the years. You do have to kind of wonder, what now? What do we do now? right? And so for me, seeing somebody like the likes of Kim Kardashian, who continues to have this friendship, doesn't call it out, and then wants to call in for justice reform, does that just not sound a little bit like hypocritical, crazy? I don't know. But you let me know in the comments what you think.
My father was and still is such an influence and inspiration. It's because of him that I met my first black person. Want to take a stab in the dark at who it was? I know it's sort of weird to remember the first black person you met, but OJ does leave a mark. Or several. Or none at all. I still don't know.
But for someone watching at home, it wasn't funny. She is Tanya Brown, the sister of O.J. Simpson's slain wife, Nicole. Kris Jenner was good friends with Nicole Brown Simpson before her murder 27 years ago. Her late husband, Robert Kardashian, was one of Simpson's so-called dream team of lawyers.
Joe Francis dominated the softcore prawn market in the early internet days. Millions of people purchased footage of girls, often barely over the age of 18 and sometimes younger, predominantly white, thin, and blonde, getting bombarded by cameramen to take shots, to take their tops off, to make out with friends, use sex toys on themselves. Obviously, this has not aged very well for Joe Francis and those that are involved. There was a woman by the name of Janelle who alleged that Joe Francis, whom she trusted at the time because of his associations, fed her shots, manipulated her into doing stuff on a camera, and arred her in the back of a Girls Gone Wild tour bus.
However, in the documentary Girls Gone Wild Exposed, a woman named Janelle claimed that Francis had sexually assaulted her on his tour bus after picking her out in a club. As she explained in the documentary,
that basically just forced himself on me, and it hurt. I didn't give my consent that night.
This assault was reported in 2006 in the Los Angeles Times, in which he also physically assaulted a 29-year-old female journalist. Nothing happened about that assault. The lack of accountability with Joe Francis, it runs rampant. Actually, the lack of accountability with a lot of these celebrities runs rampant. Like, Kim K can continue to do what she does without really being accountable for a lot of the things that are happening or that happen out there, or her associations with people.
For the longest time, we were led to believe that Kim Kardashian was a victim of this sex tape and that somehow Ray J had something to do with dropping all of this. And then, just within a year, we found out that that's not really the case. In this documentary that TNT put out, it highlighted just how conniving and calculating these Kardashians are.
The documentary was through TNT, and it was called Rich and Shameless, The Dark Side of Girls Gone Wild Empire. And it really documented women that had been abused by Joe Francis. What I really like about this documentary is that it really zeroes into the Kardashian connection to Joe Francis, especially Kim Kardashian. The Kardashians knew that Joe Francis was in jail facing charges of child pornography and underage sex. They were serious charges. They knew what was going on. But
now Joe lives on this resort, right? And the Kardashians and various celebrities go and they visit him and they stay there with them. And these are beloved, real celebrities that are about social changes and helping victims and doing what's most. Those kinds that sit on boards and say one thing but then do something else, those kind.
Literally, the resort has hosted so many friends. If you go to Casa Aramara and just check out the guest book, Kim K is the first signature on Casa Aramara. There are other noted celebrity signatures, okay? One of those being Kourtney Kardashian, as well, Sciences, Lance Bass, where he's literally writing 1 through 10 of a 5-star review. Casa Aramara holds a special place in our hearts. It's a place where we first fell in love during the onset of the relationship 3 years ago. For this reason, on our 3rd anniversary, we decided to create a list of our 10 favorite reasons why we love Casa Aramara. Please note that this is Joe Francis's house. This is who they are supporting. The man that has victimized so many females through the Girls Gone Wild franchise. And their website is a little bit I don't know, outdated, I would say. This website is, I don't know who does the website, but it is very outdated. I mean, he's literally putting in here press articles. Some of these articles are like years old. Joe Francis uses Kim Kardashian to give himself some relevancy. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments. Why do you think that the Kardashians continue to support someone like Joe Francis? I'll see you guys on the next one. Rabbits out. Bye, guys.